The Sisters Grimm podcast is intended for mature audiences only. Please, listen at your own discretion. Tiptoe through the window.
The blackest eyes, the devil's eyes.
If it doesn't fit, you must acquit.
The most notorious serial killer in the nation, the Night Stalker.
The Boston Strangler.
The Son of Sam. The infamous Zodiac Killer.
What's your favorite scary movie?
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
Get away from her, you bitch!
Welcome to the Sisters Grimm podcast.
How'd you do this? Show you.
Welcome, everyone, to...
Why is it that whenever
know.
we let you say hello first, you say it so slow and like a robot?
I don't honestly know anymore. Welcome to the Sisters Grimm podcast.
See, why can't you just
Finally,
say it like that?
Finally, you guys, we're having another episode.
Yeah, no, our podcast has been shut down longer than the government.
Oh my god. Yeah, we've had a couple people be like, hey, hi, Fogel, hi.
Fogel, hi. Oh my god. That is a super bad quote that does not get a lot of as much credit
but
as it
holds
deserves.
up.
But holds up the most out of probably all of
guys,
them.
my New Year's resolution is for our podcast to come weekly again.
Yeah, no, that's a really good one.
Yeah, that's my only one, because I don't fucking care other than that, honestly.
No, yeah. The only resolution I have is to, like, not die.
Yeah, that's usually mine.
Yeah, I resolve not to die.
So this episode is going to be...
The Brothers Grimm story, fairy tale, life
and stories of
of Wilhelm and part 5.
Part 5. But
wait, how do you say 5 in German? Sorry.
Fünf.
Fünf?
Fünf.
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 Fünf. Like Fumper from
Eins,
Bumbi?
zwei, vier, fünf. We'll get to 6 later.
Fünf. Okay, yeah, I can't wait to find
you
out.
guys. Fünf, fünf.
Fünf, baby.
Fünf it up. Okay. So before we get into the Brothers Grimm, though, I feel like we haven't talked forever. And there's so much that's happened, and there's so many movies that we've watched. I'm going to talk about them backwards, chronologically. So I'm going to talk about the one that we watched the most recently, which is Cam.
I mean, that was the one you and I watched most recently.
Right.
I've watched like 10,000.
Yeah, but yours aren't notable.
Mine are like really fucking notable and like do really well on like Rotten Tomatoes. But yeah, no, Cam, fucking crazy.
Fucking crazy. It's about a girl who is a cam model for a living, so she puts on like cam shows. And basically, the movie is about her trying to become number one.
Yeah,
on her respective cam website. And what happens is pretty crazy.
Pretty crazy, plus her cam room is really cute.
Oh my god, it's so cute. The lighting,
the
vanity.
is perfect.
She actually, like, I have like a vanity theory now or not theory.
What the fuck?
I have a vanity idea. I don't
Where did you get the funding
like,
for your vanity?
That made me want to put up a vanity in my house, and I'm going to.
Do it, bitch. Get that cool lighting where it's like, depending on what like lighting you're going to be in.
Pinky purple.
Pinky purple makes you look the prettiest.
Pinky blue? Like a pink and a blue light makes purple. You know what I'm saying?
Purple.
Like color theory, bitch. Okay, so that's pretty much all I wanted to say about Cam. Did you have anything else about it that you really liked, didn't like, thought was cool?
I told you I like the lighting.
Yeah, lighting's great. Okay, so then after Cam, and we're going again backwards, Bandersnatch. These are like all Netflix things, pretty much, that we're going to be talking about. And Netflix is fucking putting their pussy on the fucking pavement and doing shit this year, everybody.
Ouch. I don't want to put my pussy on the pavement. It's cold outside.
You gotta put your pussy on the pavement. We need to put our pussies on the pavement about this podcast.
We really fucking need to put our
Alright,
pussies on the pavement. So anyway, so yeah, we want to talk about these before they become topically irrelevant because, I mean...
Which kind of, like, some of them already are, but that's okay.
It's like whatever. So yeah, Bandersnatch. Some people love it. Some people watched, all of the footage.
Yeah. Holly literally took, like, notes. Like, copious notes.
Yeah, no, I have about, 100 pages of notes. I've seen the movie. I don't know. It's hard to say. It's just such... So if you're not familiar with it, which I'm sure you fucking all are...
Destiny.
It's a choose-your-own-adventure game, but it also is interactive on Netflix. So they used this software called Twine, I think, or something, and it makes it interactive so that it's very stressful because you have to make the characters choices for them, and you can't just like sit back and watch and you get a time limit.
And there's a lot of choices. It's not just like every once in a fucking while. It's like pretty often.
No, and I mean there was someone on Reddit who literally did not have work the day that it came out because he came up with like basically like the whole like a spreadsheet for it. I went down I wanted to figure out like how many possible ways there were to watch it, thinking, but it's not even like that. It's like so fucking crazy the way it goes. Like because I watched it when you and I watched it because it was so different because I just like let you make the decisions.
Right, yeah, I totally picked it just the way I wanted
and
to.
I saw shit I still hadn't seen. So
the one thing that I didn't like about it is that like you would do something and then it would be like, nope. And it's like, okay, if I'm not supposed to pick that, then don't give me the option.
I don't
want another fucking choice.
I don't want to brag, but that didn't happen to me once the first time I watched the movie.
Oh, good for you.
I know.
Holly must be fucking cool.
It's not cool, Morgan. I went crazy and I can't watch that movie again.
Well,
but I will.
I honestly didn't like.
Yeah, Morgan didn't like it. You're not a big sci-fi girl.
Was it sci-fi?
Fuck yeah.
Was it?
Yeah, it was like
what?
It was technology.
Okay,
science,
I like technological
fiction.
Movies.
Yeah.
And I like sci-fi.
Okay, I'm sorry to come at you for it.
Jeez. And I'm just going to say that, and this is actually a two-part statement. Final Destination 3, when that movie came out on DVD, it had like a Pick Your Own Destiny like version, and it was cool, and that was like 2005. So this isn't like anything new.
Well, and apparently they use the same software. There's a lot of children's on Netflix Kids, which obviously we don't spend a lot of time.
Had a good one.
Well,
Shrek, the DVD.
Well, no, I mean on Netflix.
Oh,
like they have those
cool.
kind of like how like fucking Dora would be like, or no, on Blue's Clues they'd be like, "Hey, where the fuck is it?" and it'd be like right in front of Steve's face.
Yeah, you dumbass. Or Dora would be like, "Is it under the rock?" No, Dora, it's clearly just next to that tree.
Yeah.
Ugh, you know what I'm saying?
God.
Oh, and then the second part was they are apparently rebooting Final Destination.
Of course they are.
Right.
People can't come up with original ideas.
The guys who
except for
did some of the Saw movies, and they did The Collector and The Collection, they're writing it.
Oh, cool. I liked those a lot.
So that's another thing. But yeah, Bandersnatch was like...
Morgan didn't like it. I was obsessed. I got too obsessed. Yeah. If you have seen it, I went down the hole. Yeah. I was Colin. I'm Colin now.
Okay. So another crazy thing that came out on Netflix that was fantastic was Bird Box.
There's some it's you either love it or you hate it. I think it's pretty stupid that there's the Bird Box challenge where people are just walking around with bandanas.
Well, yeah, it's like, hey, maybe not if you don't have to.
That's as dumb as the Tide Pod challenge, except not as bad.
No, Tide Pod's worse and gross.
People are
but Bird Box is fucking crazy. The whole first part of the movie, I just kept going, he's in this? She's in this?
I know.
That's MGK?
Oh, right. I didn't even know that was
Is
MGK.
that Oliver from the OC?
Fuck you.
Like, everyone was in this fucking movie.
And it's so weird because John Malkovich played himself.
Pretty much.
He was literally, they were like, just be you, man. And he's like, got it. Gonna be a dick.
He's like, for sure, man.
He's like, I'm actually shit-faced.
But it was so good. And I actually really want to watch it again. Because I only saw it the one time. But the one thing that like made me mad is they made me believe that there was going to be like a Sarah Paulson, Sandra Bullock like lesbian fantasy.
A lot of people thought that. I thought they were sisters from the beginning.
Really?
A lot of people were like someone posted a picture, like it was a meme of like Sarah Paulson in that movie where it's like right before, spoiler alert, something happens and she like looks really nervous, and it was like when you realize that Sarah Paulson is Sandra Bullock's sister, and I'm like, I never like they said
I fully
Mom.
thought, like, me and Maria, because so Maria really wanted to watch it. I was like, maybe I kind of want to watch another episode of Bad Girls Club.
Of course you did.
But then I was like, let's watch the trailer or whatever, and so we turned it on, and that's like the first thing I saw, and I was like, I'm in.
Yeah, you told me like watch it, don't go in like knowing
Yeah,
anything.
I said watch it, don't read anything, don't watch anything, just fucking watch it.
And we've just talked about it for a good 3 minutes, so we did not follow. We're not giving you the same information.
Oh, yeah, fuck.
But it's been so long
That's
now.
what I'm saying. This one's not super relevant anymore. If you were going to be one of the people who watched it and cared, you would have probably already watched it by now.
You would have.
Anyway, moving on.
More movies?
Okay, so this one you have not seen, but I just really want to talk about it for a second. The Nun was good. I don't give a fuck what anybody says, and that's all I'm going to say about it. The Nun was good.
End statement.
So we also haven't ever talked about The Haunting of fucking Hill House.
We have talked about the haunting
Have
of
we?
fucking Hill House. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Are you sure?
Oh, yeah. Remember we talked about how I made that really weird scream, which I did again today.
Yeah, I think that's just your scream now.
No, yeah, it happened. Oh. It was... Oh, what movie was I watching? Oh, fuck. I was watching this Spanish film called Terrified.
Ooh.
And it was really, really fucking creepy. If you follow me on Instagram, then you saw the pictures. It was the weird dude with a little butt and
cute.
no front genitalia. It was very scary, but it was like, whatever. I also watched the movie Possum this weekend. I also watched Tragedy Girls, which is like, meh. And this wasn't a horror movie, but I watched the movie The Late Bloomer, and it was very funny.
Fun.
It was bad, but it was funny. It's about this guy, and he had a tumor in his brain that pushed up against his pituitary gland, so he didn't hit puberty, and so he got it removed, and let's just say he hit puberty hard. And J.K. Simmons is in it, like all these really amazing people, so watch that, even though it's not a... I mean, it's horrifying, and Brittany Snow's in it too.
I started Sharp Objects on HBO.
Nice.
And I also started...
I got myself a
something
7-day trial for Shudder.
Oh, cool.
Because they have so many fucking good horror movies, and they have a bunch of the ones on my list, and also that I watched. So yeah, the movie Possum, really weird. Watch it. Don't look into it.
Just watch it.
Just watch it. What other fucking shit did I watch? Yeah, that's kind of it.
That's kind of it.
Oh, Upgrade. Everyone go fucking watch Upgrade. Speaking of the OC, it has Trey from the OC.
You're telling me that.
It is hilarious. I wouldn't really consider it to be horror. I mean, I guess I would consider it to be more like
thriller.
Thriller, sci-fi, actiony. Like, but it is fucking amazing. Also, I don't know if I've ever mentioned Dave Built a Maze ever on this.
I don't think you have.
And that has fucking my favorite comedian in the world, Nick Thune, in it.
Thune.
And it's on Hulu now, and I suggest everyone watches it. It is so fucking funny, and it's scary too. It's really scary. But
all right, shall we move on?
Yeah, maybe we should finally get to the Brothers Grimm after 12 goddamn minutes. Shit.
Did you want to go like first, or did you?
Yeah. I will go first. So,
okay.
So first, I also have a correction from January.
It's January.
December 16th.
That was when our last episode was.
I know.
So you guys are sorry. We're trying. Okay, we're gonna be back.
But what's crazy is that our episode came out on the 16th, and that was the day that Jacob Wilhelm died.
Way.
Well, right? Isn't that crazy? Okay, so the last episode we did, I think, was Bohemian Grove.
Yes.
And I said, yeah.
So much is happening.
I know. Yeah. So,
how was Christmas, you guys? How was New Year?
Yeah. Are you...
My birthday was great. Thanks for asking.
My birthday was great? When was
your birthday happened before the episode.
Did it?
If it came out on the 16th, do you not know when your own birthday is?
No, I forget how old I am sometimes.
So does like a lot of people, and I don't understand
it's because it doesn't matter. So anyways, we were talking about the $1 bill and there being an owl on it. I said that it's only on certain $1 bills, and I was wrong. It's on all of the dollar bills. It's just the tiniest little owl ever. You literally need like a
Magnifying
microscopic
glass.
No, like a telescope.
Oh.
I literally went into Mom's room.
That's pussy shit. That ain't cool.
No, it's little though. So anyways, we're gonna start out the Brothers Grimm with the classic tale, the table, the ass, and the stick.
Me, and me.
Yeah, so let's see. When the episode, Morgan, why are you rubbing me?
Where's the never mind. Keep going.
Never mind. Cool.
I found it.
That was weird. Okay, so anywho's, never do that again in life or on the podcast ever again.
It was just rubbing near your leg.
So when I started reading the story, I was reading the Barnes and Noble edition that is probably the most easy, like, it's like the physical copy, I think, of, like, you know, the...
Yeah, and it's probably like...
of all of the comprehensive...
Slightly,
yeah, and it has been rewritten, and I wanted to make sure...
Mine that I'm going to be reading is straight up the original.
Oh, yeah, no, same. Because I've read, and we probably mentioned this before, but the stories were originally intended for adults.
Right.
But parents started complaining about the sexual undertones, as well as other gross stuff, like... poop, which brings us to this story.
Love it.
So I wanted, like I said, to make sure I read the good version of this story. So there was once a tailor, and he had 3 sons and 1 goat.
You mean an ass?
Nope, no. The ass comes later.
Right.
Asses are like donkeys or mules, I think. I don't know the difference.
Okay.
One day, oh no, hold up. So back to this goat. The goat was like, I think the dad's favorite, even though he had 3 kids. I think he saw the goat as a child. And because the goat nourished them with all of her milk, she only got to eat the best food. And so the sons were the ones who, like, brought her, like, out. So one day the oldest son took the goat out to eat and brought her to a churchyard where the best sprouts were. The son asked the goat if she'd had enough, and the goat said, "I am so full, I cannot pull another blade of grace. Ba-ba."
Ba-ba.
So they went back home. When they got home, the tailor asked if the goat had her proper food, and the son said that she was full and she couldn't have any more. And when the tailor asked the goat, he's like, "My dear goat, are you full?" The goat answered, "How can I be full? There was nothing to pull. I looked all about. Ba-ba." The tailor was, like, pissed and got mad at his son and beat him so hard with the yardstick that he drove his son away.
Whoa, you'd think that wouldn't happen.
Yeah, like I said, he loves this goat. The goat's his favorite.
Right.
So because this is a Brothers Grimm story and there were 3 brothers, this happens 2 more times. I'm not going to go through it because...
As always.
The same thing fucking happens. So the tailor, being left to his own devices, was the one who had to bring the goat out to feed. And he asked her, you know, like, "Are you full?" And she did her little... I am so full, cannot pull another blade of grass, ba-ba.
Yeah.
And then they got home, and he asked her how she was, and she was like, "But I'm not hungry." And he's like, "You stupid fucking goat. You made me, like, run my I beat my kids for you."
Right.
And so he shaved the goat. The whole goat.
Okay.
And, let's see, what's up. And so she ran away. Because he also beat her with the yardstick.
Cool.
So, back to the sons. The oldest son started working as, like, a woodworker, and he took an apprenticeship, and he left and became a traveler, but his master gave him a little table. It was nothing much to look at, but it had one great quality. When anyone set it down and, like, waved a tablecloth in front of it and said, "Table be covered," it would be full of plates and forks and knives and roasts and meats and, like, the most delicious food ever.
I'm hungry.
So wherever he traveled, he didn't care because he could have the best food his heart desired. And so he thought, hey, maybe if I go back home and show my dad this cool-ass table I have, he'll, like, take me back in. On his way home, though, he stopped at this inn, and he showed everyone what it could do, and the innkeeper, who was, like... I picture him having, like, one of those mustaches that he twirls like an evil guy, being like, "Heh,
right, of course.
I could do well with that table." And so in the middle of the night, he snuck into the son's room and he stole... No. No, he took the table.
Oh.
And he replaced
How easy is it to carry this whole table around?
It's a little table.
Oh.
It was a little, you know, just a little table.
Cool.
It's like one of those little Colocs from IKEA.
Cool.
Think of a little table. And he replaced it with a different table.
Fake.
So Whoa, weird. I just read that word that was written on my page of notes. So when he got to his father's home, his father was super happy to see him, and he asked him what he'd been up to since he'd beat him so hard with the yardstick. What have you been up to ever since I beat the shit out of you?
Right.
The son said he'd become a woodworker, and the father was so impressed and asked the son what he'd brought back, and the kid was so excited to show his dad his table, but the father was unimpressed. And he's like, this is no masterpiece of a table.
Is just a table.
He's like, this table is rubbish.
Rubbish.
And the son was like, on the outside, yes, I agree. It looks like shit, but it has a magical power and makes food. So we should invite all of our friends and neighbors over for a huge feast, because there will be enough food to provide. And he said, table be covered. But the table, because it was fake, never stirred and remained empty. And as the brothers Grimm wrote, it remained as empty as any other table that doesn't understand how to talk.
Right.
Except for that handful of tables who do. When the tailor saw that his son was a liar and a fool, everyone at the party laughed at the son, and the tailor banished him away again. The second son had become an apprentice to a miller, and he did such a good job at work that his boss gave him an ass. He already had an ass, but the boss was like, hey, want one more? And he's like, sure.
Ass?
So he gave him a donkey, mule, whatever.
Right.
He said that the ass was of a remarkable kind, and he didn't need to wear a traveling sack, because if he waved a cloth in front of the donkey and said Bricklebrit, gold came out of his mouth and butthole.
What the fuck?
Yeah. The second son went out into the world, and whenever he ran out of money, all he had to do was say Bricklebrit to his ass, and there was a shower of Bricklebrit, yeah, and just gold would flow from both ends out of this donkey.
Ew, poor donkey.
I think he liked it.
Okay,
I don't know.
well then.
So eventually he wanted to go back to his dad, who would maybe not be mad now that he had a gold ass.
Right.
He wound
Avi.
Obs. He wound it up.
Is this a different son?
This is the second son, yeah.
Okay. Well, no.
So I told you these are all different because they all get different little treasures. So this son winds up at the same inn, and the landlord was like, okay, why does this guy who has so much money spend so much time with a fucking donkey? And because he brought the donkey up into the room with him, obviously. And so when the son reached into his pocket, he had run out, and so he said he would go get some more. And he went up into his room, and the innkeeper was like, what? So he followed him, and he peeked into the room and saw the son wave a cloth in front of the ass, say Bricklebrit, and gold pieces, came out of both ends.
So his dad actually saw it this time?
No, this was the innkeeper. Remember?
Same guy?
No, twirly mustache, yeah.
Ugh.
So the innkeeper thought he wanted a gold-producing ass for himself.
Boring.
So he did the old switcheroo and replaced the magical ass with a regular one, and the son knew none the wiser. So he apparently... I don't know.
Was stupid.
Was dumb. I would know my ass.
Same.
I know my ass. When he got to his father's, he told him that he'd become a miller, and the father asked what he had brought with him from his travels, and the son said, nothing but an ass. The tailor said, we have plenty of asses here. You should have just brought me a goat, because my last one was a dud. But the son was like, alas, father, for this is no common ass. When I say Bricklebit, it spits out a cloth full of gold pieces. Call all the neighbors together, and I will make rich people of them all.
Oh.
Everyone came over, and the second son went to show everyone what his magical ass could do, but it just sat there.
Did he not save any of the gold that the ass made originally?
I think it ran out, and then he would have to go do the Bricklebrit again.
Hmm.
How
many days was he gone, and how much fucking gold did he spend?
I don't know, Morgan. This story either takes place over a week or 15 years. It
Right.
could literally be who fucking knows. So, obviously the ass didn't do anything, and the son was really upset and apologized to everyone, and then he just left the father's home on his own volition and went back to being a miller. The third son had become a turner, who was like a metal worker. Both of the brothers wrote to him and said that they stayed at one inn, and the innkeeper had stolen their treasures. And when the youngest son had completed his apprenticeship, his master gave him a sack with a stick inside. The master told him that if anyone ever tried to do him harm, he just had to say, stick out of the sack, and the stick will beat the shit out of the attacker. Until the son said, stick into the sack. So during his travels, he came across the inn that his two brothers had mentioned to him. And he went in and he laid the sack down on the table and began describing all of the wonderful things he'd seen in the world, and said the best treasure he had acquired was inside his sack. The landlord's ears perked up, and he thought to himself that all good things come in threes, and wanted to see what was in the sack for himself. During the night, he snuck into the third son's bedroom to replace the magical stick with the regular one, but the son wasn't asleep and had been waiting for this exact moment, and as soon as the innkeeper put his hands on the sack, the son yelled, "Stick out of the sack," and the stick started wailing on the innkeeper until he was begging to stop. The son said that if the innkeeper didn't give him back his brother's table and ass, that he would tell the stick to beat the shit out of him again.
The shit it up?
The shit it up. The innkeeper was like, fuck that, and he gave the table and ass back to the son, and he made his way back to his dad's. The tailor dad was very happy to see his son, and the son told his father that he'd become a turner. The father asked what the son had brought back, and he was like, "A stick!" And his dad was like, "A stick?" He's like, "You can just get one of those from a fucking tree." But the son was like, no, father.
Bitch.
For you see, this is no ordinary stick. When I say stick out of the sack, the stick jumps out and attacks anyone who tries to harm me and beats them until they can't move anymore. With this stick, I have retrieved the table and ass the innkeeper had stolen from my brothers. Send for both of them and invite all of the neighbors over too, who I'm guessing were getting pretty annoyed at this point.
They're like, oh my god.
They're like, okay, a stick?
Stick?
I mean, TV hasn't been invented yet, so like, why not?
Yeah,
we have nothing else to do. Not. So with the stick, he was like, let's have this big party. Obviously, I am going to dominate at the piñata.
Obviously, I got my ass.
Yeah. So let's see. The father was in disbelief, but invited everyone anyway. He brought out the table and asked the brother to perform his little trick, and he did. And the table was full of delicious foods.
Yum.
The dad was like, oh shit. And so then he gave the other brother back his ass and said Bricklebrit, and it immediately started puking and shitting gold, and all of the guests gathered as much gold as they possibly could.
Poor goat. You sure you liked it? It does not sound good.
I mean, they don't mention it. No, it's not the goat, Morgan. It is the ass.
Right.
So, you may be asking, like Morgan, whatever happened to this goat? So, she felt so ashamed that she was bald, she ran into a foxhole to hide. When the fox came home from work, I don't know where, he saw...
The market.
Yeah, from the church store. He saw two big eyes staring at him, and he ran away. And while fleeing, he ran into his friend, a bear. And the bear was like, dude, are you okay? And the fox was like, there's a grizzly beast sitting in my hole. And the bear was like, I got you. So they went to the fox's hole, and when the bear looked in and saw the pair of eyes, he too got scared and ran away. And while the bear was fleeing, he ran into a bee. And the bee asked the bear if he was feeling depressed because he didn't seem like himself. The bear said, well, if you must know, there is a beast with fiery eyes sitting in the fox's hole, and we're too scared to drive him out ourselves. The bee was like, look, bear, I know you don't like me because I'm a little bee, but I think I can help you. The bee flew into the fox's hole.
There's so many animals in this story.
This part is like, in Marvel movies, how there's like a scene after the credits. This is that, but there's no Samuel. No, wait, hold up. Samuel Jackson does show up in this one. Yeah. So the bee stung the fox on... the bee stung the goat on the head so severely that she ran out of the hole into the world, and to this hour... no one knows where she ran to. To this hour.
To this current hour. Wherever you're sitting right now.
Central Standard Time, 8:19 p.m. Jesus Christ. To this hour. Yeah, so that is the table, the ass, and the stick.
And the bumblebee, I guess?
Yeah, and then, like, that weird epilogue... with the bee? I don't know. And then, you know what? That goat is just out there somewhere going ba-ba. No, I don't think that's the noise. I thought that was a lamp.
Poor goat, man. The goat really didn't, have a good time.
No, the goat really got the shitty end of the
he just
stick.
ditched him? Aww.
Stick.
Alright, so, my first story is, called Gamblin' Hansel.
Gamblin' Hansel. He was a gambling man?
He was a gambling man. So, once upon a time, there was a man, Gambling Hansel, who did nothing but gamble. And for that reason, people never called him anything but Gambling Hansel.
People were really phoning it in, making
nicknames. Yeah.
Did Hansel go to those like slot machine bars that they have?
Probably.
Yeah.
Okay. And he never ceased to gamble. He played away his house and all that he had. Now, the very day before his creditors were to take his home from him, came the Lord Saint Peter, who I don't know what his story is.
Saint Peter.
Do you know which one? I don't know a lot about the
Peter.
saints.
Well, Saint Peter, I think he's the one that meets you when you get to heaven, maybe.
Oh, okay.
He's
cool.
the one who's like, hey, he's like the head of the orientation
Hey,
program.
everybody, this is heaven.
He's like, hey guys, please turn off your cell phones.
Okay, so he asked him to give him shelter for the night, St. Peter. So Gambling Hansel said, you can stay the night, but I cannot give you a bed or anything to eat because I gambled it all away. So the Lord said he was just to take them in, and they themselves would buy something to eat, to which Gambling Hansel made no objection because he obviously wanted food. Thereupon, St. Peter gave him 3 groschen, which is this weird money that we talked about last time.
Oh, right.
Remember the groschens?
Yes, I remember. They mentioned a type of money in mine, and I was just like, oh.
Whatever.
I thought you were going to say he gave him 3 groceries.
No, he gave him 3 groschens, and he told him to go to the baker's and get some bread. So Gambling Hansel went, but he reached the house where the other gambling vagabonds were gathered.
Oh,
and
shit!
Obviously, he went in. Well, actually, they invited him. They were like, Hansel. Apparently, Hansel's a bad gambler also, if he's losing all his money.
Yeah, he needs to go. He needs to listen to that Kenny Loggins song.
So they
not
literally
know
wouldn't
when to
let
hold
him leave. So he
Ooh.
went in and he played away the 3 groschen. Meanwhile, St. Peter and the Lord. So it's St. Peter and the Lord.
I feel like they're getting like...
Confused.
This is like a weird biblical story.
Yeah.
Like they fell asleep while reading the Bible.
Because Lucifer comes in later too.
Fuck yeah! Spoiler alert!
So they were
God,
waiting.
Morgan.
They were waiting, and they were like, well, let's just go, like, meet him. And so then Gambling Hansel came, and he pretended that the money had fallen into the gutter. And kept talking about it and how he couldn't find it, but the Lord obviously already knew.
And we're talking about, like, the Christian Lord, right? I mean, it's St. Peter's.
Man, I think.
Yeah, it's, like, Christian. So, like, Jesus with the Lord? I don't fucking know.
I don't know.
Eric Clapton?
So he knew that he had lost it playing, and St. Peter then gave him another 3 groschen, which was stupid, but he was like, okay, like, let's go, like, go get bread.
It's all about them 3s, baby.
So then the Lord, once he got the bread, said, do you have any wine? And he said, no, the casks are all empty. But the Lord said he was to go down to the cellar, for the best wine was still there. For a long time he would not believe this, but at length he said, well, I will go down, but I know that there is none there. When he turned the tap, however, lo and behold, the best of wine ran out. So he took it to them, and the 2 passed the night there. Early next day, our Lord... He asked Gambling Hansel that he might beg 3 favors. The Lord expected that he would ask to go to heaven, but Gambling Hansel asked for a pack of cards with which he could win everything. So Gambling Hansel asked for the 3 things.
Is the Lord also a genie?
He's God or something.
Or, yeah. Or like whatever.
So he asked for a pack of cards with which he could win everything, which I'm guessing just means that every time he plays with these cards, he wins.
Yeah, it's just like a set deck.
Also for dice, with which he would also win every time. And for a tree...
A Monopoly game that he'd win every single time.
For a tree whereon every kind of fruit would grow. So that's one just for Hansel. Hansel liked fruit.
Hansel's like, I don't
and
want
also
scurvy.
from which no one who had climbed up could descend until he let him. So if someone climbed up his tree to, like, steal fruit, they wouldn't be able to get down unless Gambling Hansel was like, you can get down.
This has a lot of biblical themes. That was just like
seems
Zacchaeus
like
was
they're
going to
eat more of your fruit if they're up there longer. Like,
if they're up, yeah.
Wise.
I'd be like, hey, Gambling Hansel, if I have to be in your tree, guess who's going to eat all your fruit?
Guess who's eating all your fruit?
Nom nom nom. Guess who ate all your pears? Me.
Pears. The Lord gave him all that he asked, even though, like, what the fuck did Gambling Hansel give them anything except, like, a crib to stay in? But so then he left.
So he let
with
God
St. Peter.
stay there too?
Yeah, so God, the Lord and St. Peter were staying there. So they go now, and now Gambling Hansel at once set out to gamble, obviously. And before long, he gained half the world.
Hold on.
Gambling Hansel is now responsible for half of the world.
Shut up. So he's creating the New World Order. Hold on one second. So, first of all, God/Jesus was denied from, like, the inns more than one occasion. So, and then, so get back to him owning half the world.
The world.
Which half? The upper hemisphere.
Dude, honestly. So upon this, St. Peter said to the Lord, Lord, this thing must not go on. At last he will win the whole world. We must send death to him. Like, we gotta kill this dude, or he's gonna win everything. So then they sent death to him. When death appeared, Gambling Hansel had just seated himself at the gambling table, and death said, Hansel, come out a while. But Gambling Hansel said, just wait a little until the game is done, and in the meantime, get up into that tree out there. So he was like, hey, Death, you should go, like, hang out on this tree.
And Death wasn't like, what?
He said, gather a little fruit, and that way we can have something to munch on our way! Thereupon Death's dumb ass was like, LOL, okay. So Death climbs up. Can you imagine Death with a sickle and fucking robe?
I was literally just thinking of Death being like trying to find footing, like slipping, and then like Hansel being like, no, that branch to your left, and him being like, I know my foot.
Hansel's gambling.
All right,
he's too busy gambling.
Oh.
So anyways, so Death climbs up the tree. But when he wanted to come down again, he could not. And Gambling Hansel left him up there for 7 years.
You'd think that Death of all people, of all entities, could... The Lord, too. He's the Lord.
Right. So Hansel left him up there for 7 years, during which time no one died.
Oh.
No one died for 7 years. No one died.
That's really not that long in the scope of things, but I bet the population went up.
How many people are dying right now? Now. Right now.
Dead.
Now.
Dead. Okay, Morgan, this is a scary podcast, but you're just making it too real.
Okay, so St. Peter said to the Lord, Lord, this thing must not go on. People no longer die. We must go ourselves. And they went, and the Lord commanded Hansel to let Death come down. So Hansel went at once to Death and said to him, come down. And Death took him directly and put an end to him. They went away together and came to the next world. And then Gambling Hansel made straight for the door of heaven and knocked at it. Who is there? Gambling Hansel.
Jesus.
We will have nothing to do with him. Be gone, said the door to heaven. So he went to the door of purgatory and knocked once. Who is there? Gambling Hansel.
So it's the Catholic Lord.
Apparently so, yeah. Gambling Hansel. There is quite enough weeping and wailing here without him. We do not want to gamble. Just go away again. Then he went to the door of hell, and there they let him in.
And they were like, welcome to hell, baby!
But nobody was home but old Lucifer.
Wait, what the fuck? No one was home in hell?
Apparently not.
No one was home.
They were busy in the world. And no sooner was Hansel there than he sat down to gamble again. Lucifer, however, had nothing to lose. But with his misshapen devils and Gambling Hansel, he won in front of all of them. Oh, wait, hang on.
Wait, did this story just turn into The Devil Went Down to Georgia?
Pretty much this just turned in, yeah.
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 He was looking for a soul to steal. He was in a bind. He was way behind. This is literally The Gambler and Charlie Daniels Devil Went Down to Georgia meshed.
Yeah, so at this point, now he's playing against Satan, and he keeps winning. And so at this point, St. Peter said, Lord, this thing cannot go on. We must let him in, or he's going to overthrow he's going to overthrow heaven. Like, he's going to be in hell, and he's going to overthrow us. So they let him in, but Gambling Hansel instantly began to play again in heaven, and there was such a noise and confusion, apparently, that there was no hearing what they themselves were saying. Therefore, St. Peter once more said, Lord, this cannot go on. We must throw him down, or he will make all heaven rebellious. So they went to him at once and threw him down, and his soul broke into fragments and went into the gambling vagabonds who are living this very day.
What?
This very day, if you are a gambling vagabond, Gambling Hansel is a part of you. Know that.
So it's
and that's the moral of the story.
That's okay. That story, I'm sorry, made no fucking sense.
Pretty much, like Gambling Hansel, like
literally
gambled.
It's just it was interesting. It was the first story that had like biblical undertone, or not.
Yeah, but it's kind of not surprising that there would be that.
Well, yeah, I mean, I didn't know what religion the Brothers Grimm
adhered
to, but that's weird.
Yeah.
I'd never heard one.
I just thought it was interesting, and also I liked the name Gambling Hansel.
Yeah, I think Gambling Hansel.
It's hard to pick. We're getting down to like the nitty gritty of the stories.
Oh, we ain't even. I tell you,
Holly.
But back to speaking of Hansels.
Right.
My next story is Hans, but I can say Hans. Hans Dumb.
Yeah, I don't know why I can't say Hansel.
It's because Chicago.
Hansel.
Hansel, get your jacket. So,
oh, Hansel.
Yeah, so this is the story of Hans Dumb. There once was a king living happily with his daughter, and the princess had a I didn't know I was pregnant situation, and just had a baby, and no one knew who the father was. They should have just gone on Maury.
Right.
He figures out everything.
Yeah, just go on Maury.
Just go on Maury. The king was really angry because it was the 1800s and he sucks, and heaven forbid a woman has a child out of wedlock. Fuck.
Right.
The father told the princess they would have to all go to church with the baby and give the baby a lemon, invite a bunch of hot local bachelors, and whoever the baby gave the lemon to would be the father. It's very this is very bachelorette.
Very bachelorette, and I live for it. Also, the new season of The Bachelor.
Oh, Jesus Christ,
started.
Morgan.
I'm just gonna say it started.
Okay. But in this town, there was a crooked man with a hunchback, and everyone hated him because they thought he was super gross, and they all called him Hans Dumb. Just like how they did.
Fucking rude.
Yeah, just like with Gambling Hansel. They
Gambling Hansel.
Yeah, just Hans Dumb.
Gambling Hansel.
Hans Dumb. But turns out Hans ain't that dumb because somehow his hunchbacked ass managed to blend in with a crowd of hotties, nonetheless,
nice.
And snuck into the church, and as luck would have it, of course the baby gave the lemon, that is, to Hans Dumb. The king was so upset that his daughter had to marry Hans Dumb that he put them and the baby into a cask and set them off to sea, which seems like a huge overreaction in my opinion. If anything, it's the baby's fault, and also, how old was this baby that it could hold a lemon and hand it off to another person? That is not the dexterity of a newborn.
I don't know, dude. I've seen some kids, I've seen straight up babies, using cell phones like I do, and it fucking freaks me out.
You did roll over.
Has anyone else seen that? It's scary.
A baby?
Oh, I rolled over the day I was born, but that's because I'm extremely strong.
Well, I would just like to point out that I wrapped the umbilical cord around my neck and then unwrapped it. But anywho, right. I was like, let's make this hard. Just kidding.
You're like, LOL. I'm not gonna do it.
So the princesses in these stories always get the shitty end of the stick, and it's always the king who has to make these rules, and he always follows through with them, even though he's the fucking king, and he could have just been like, that was a practice round. I'm pretty sure the baby meant to give the lemon to Jeremy, and then he just throws the lemon at Jeremy because he's the fucking king and he can do whatever he wants.
Yeah, but people were really honest at this time.
I mean, he's a man of his word. I'll give him that. So they're in the cask, and the princess is crying and complaining and is like, why did you even come to the church? There's no way you have anything to even do with my baby. And Hans Dum was like, actually, I do. I wished you would have a baby, and you did. And the princess was like, prove it. Wish us up some fucking food.
Yeah, seriously.
Hans Dum wished for there to be food, and a plate of potatoes appeared. The princess was like, I don't even like potatoes, but I guess I'll eat them because I'm starving, and that's literally the only food.
Like potatoes.
This princess. Then Hans Dum wished the cask would turn into a ship, which is something you'd think he would have done much sooner. And the ship came ashore, and Hans Dum wished for an extravagant castle with servants wearing golden robes. Then he wished he would be hot, and the princess was like, hell yeah.
He wished to be hot?
Yeah, which is something also you'd think he would have done earlier on. And the princess was like, my husband just got, like, really pretty.
Yes.
And so one day the king was riding his horse through the forest, as all kings do at some point in these stories.
Right.
And he stumbled across the castle and was like, wait, I thought I had the only castle. Why is there another castle? So he went inside, and the princess was standing there. The princess recognized her father, but he didn't recognize her because he thought that she had died at sea. So either he completely forgot what his daughter looked like, or her time at sea changed her as a person, mentally and physically. Or maybe she, like, grew a beard or something, I don't know. So the king was like, well, you know, it was lovely meeting you, whoever you are, but bye. And as the king was leaving, the princess slipped a gold goblet into his pocket, and once he had left, she sent the knights after him, saying that he had stolen a golden goblet and put it into his pocket.
Okay.
The knights caught up with the king and were like, excuse me, sir, we got a lady saying you stole her gold goblet. Do you have the goblet? And the king was like, And the knight reached into the king's pocket and pulled out the goblet and was like, oh, really? Then how the fuck did it get in your jacket pocket? I don't know why I'm making these guys Chicago.
Right.
They sound like Chicago cops. Anyhoozle, the knights brought the king back to the castle, and the princess was like, hey, guess who just got punked, bitch? And guess who's your daughter? Me. And the king was like, oh, cool, you didn't die. I see your husband got hot. That's, like, really nice.
Nice.
And after reading so many of these stories, I started noticing a pattern in which Jacob and Wilhelm kind of phone it in, like I said, at the end of their stories. Because they all end, well, a lot of them do with, and they all lived happily ever until they died.
Yeah, a lot of stories are just like, everyone lived until they died.
They were all happy and then they died.
And it's like, true.
So does that mean that they aren't happy when they're dead, or do the Grimms believe in an afterlife? Well, do they believe in
Seems like they don't believe in an afterlife, but they obviously do. Who
Yeah.
knows, man?
Do they believe in life after love?
I know I do.
Something inside me says,
I really don't think I'm strong enough. Do you believe in life after love?
everyone,
Cher, man.
phone it. The phones are on. Call in to vote on how good of a Cher impression Morgan is doing right now. We got a caller, Brenda from Tennessee.
I think that Morgan...
Are we talking to a baby right now?
Yeah.
Shut up!
Okay, what's your
That
next
was a
story?
lot. That was like really. That was like taking a joke and really going somewhere different with it.
Because I'm really good.
It's talent. Okay, so my next story, honestly, I picked it because it's kind of like creepy.
Whoa.
Also, it was short. It's called The Shroud. Or The Shroud? The Shroud, I think, though.
Shrewd, like
What
the
you
taming
wear.
of the... Oh, right. That's a shrew.
There was once a mother who had a little boy of 7 years old who was so handsome and lovable that no one could look at him without liking him.
Okay, but I feel like calling a 7-year-old handsome is inappropriate.
To the point where everyone wanted to fuck this kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, it's gross. It's fucked up.
Wow, keep going.
His mom herself worshipped him, like, above everything else in the world, including God. Now, it just so happened that he suddenly became ill and God took him. So he died.
Crap. Wait, oh.
And for this, the mother could not be comforted and wept both day and night. But soon afterwards, when the child had been buried, it appeared by night in the places where it had sat and played during its life. And if the mother wept, it wept also. And when morning came, it would disappear. But as the mother would not stop crying, it came one night in the little right shroud in which it had been laid in its coffin, and with its wreath of flowers around its head, stood on the top of her bed and said, "Oh, mother, do stop crying, or I shall never fall asleep in my coffin, for my shroud will not dry because of all of your tears which fall upon it." The mother was afraid when she heard that, so she stopped crying, and the next night the child came again, and he held a little light in his hand, and he said, "Look, mother, my shroud is nearly dry. I can rest in my grave." Then the mother gave her sorrow into God's keeping and bore it quietly and patiently, and the child came no more, but slept in its little bed beneath the earth in his shroud.
Wow. That was dark.
Yeah, I know, right?
That was like creepypasta.
I know, it was creepy.
That's a nice succinct little... It reminds me of like scary stories to tell in the dark a little bit.
I liked it. That's why I
liked
picked
that
it.
one a lot. That was a really good one.
Thanks, dude.
Good pick, dude. Air high five. All right, so my final story is cat and mouse in partnership. There once was a cat and mouse that became friends, and they moved into a house together. I am not sure if they were dating or not. It's unclear in the stories.
Okay.
They may just have been FBFs. I don't know. But the cat...
Friends with fucks?
Friends with... friends that fuck. FTFs. I probably said something wrong.
I was going to say FWB.
FWB, yes, you're right. WWWB. Anywho's all. So, the cat told the mouse that she could never leave the house because she would get caught in a trap and die. So he's a little controlling, so maybe they are dating. The cat said that they needed to gather food for winter so that they wouldn't starve. So he went out and bought a pot of fat. He told the mouse that instead of keeping it in their house, like normal, he was going to hide it under the altar at the church. And this church is getting a lot of plugs. Like, they're going to church a lot in these stories.
Well, it wasn't a lot else to do at this time.
The church. The cat said that this was the best idea because no one would steal something from a church. Maybe they lived in a bad neighborhood, and that's why he didn't want the mouse to go out. I don't know.
Okay.
So one day, the cat started longing for the fat, so he came up with an elaborate lie to tell the mouse, right, honestly, as an excuse to go to the church. Why he couldn't just say, "I'm going to church because today is church day," to the mouse is beyond me, but he instead said that his cousin had just had a baby, and they wanted the cat to be the godfather. He told the mouse that she didn't have to come, and she should just stay at home and watch after the house, and the mouse was like, "Okay, while you're out, pick me up some wine." And the cat never brought her back some wine, which was pretty rude. But he went to the church and he ate some fat off the top of the pot. When the cat got home, the mouse asked how the baptism went. And the cat was like, "It was great. They named the baby Top Off." And the mouse was like, "Top Off? The fuck kind of name is that?"
Right.
"Is it common in your family? Because that's a weird-ass name." And the cat was like, "All of your godchildren are named Crumb Thief. What do you know?"
Really?
Yeah.
Thief?
Yeah, apparently.
That's what
And
everyone calls
all of
me.
them. All of them. So a few days later, the cat was feeding him for some of that sweet, sweet pot fat again. So he lied to the mouse again, saying his cousin had another baby. And because it had a stripe of white fur around its neck, which is either like really important in cat culture, or the cat was just bullshitting. But I will say that I forgot these babies were actually kittens. So when the cat said like what color they were, I was like, "Wait, what?" Because like the first one had spots, and I was like, "Wait, what?"
What?
So the mouse was like, "Oh my god, a white stripe! Get your ass down to that church." So the cat again went to the church and took the pot of fat out from under the altar and ate half of what was left. When he got home, the mouse asked what they named the baby, and the cat said half gone. And again the mouse rather, was like, "What the fuck? That is not a name. I have never read it in an almanac before." I have never seen it on babynames.com.
Yeah, what the fuck?
Again, the cat went back to the church for some more fat. So he told the mouse that his cousin had yet another baby, and it was entirely black except for its little white paws. And this, like, never happened. So the mouse was like, "Okay, whatever. Can't wait to hear what this kid's name is." The mouse was starting to suspect something and said, "Top off, half gone. These names are so unusual. It makes me think."
Sounds like rap names.
It
literally sounds like new rappers. Half gone.
half
Top off.
Top off. It's top off and half gone. We're here to eat your fat. We're going to do some.
We're here to eat your fat.
We're here to eat your fat.
What kind of fat? Like,
I don't know.
Just fat?
I was wondering. Lard, pork
Right.
fat. I don't fucking know.
trimmings from steak.
It was delish though because this cat lied like
Half gone.
top half.
I'm half gone. You're
top
you're
off.
Top off.
Totally. That sounds like
Half
take your
gone.
top off. Top off. Anyway, so
I'm already half gone.
already
Off
has
this
gone,
lean.
and my friend Top Off's got her top off, riding with my car with a top off. I don't know.
No.
So no, that was fucking good. Anyway, so the cat, like this mouse was like, "These names are so unusual. It's making me think." And the cat was like, "All you do is sit in the house all day with your dark gray fur and your long braid, and you're coming up with these fantasies and mind your own fucking business." And I haven't ever seen a mouse with a long braid before, but I bet it's gorgeous.
Gorgeous.
The cat went to the church and finished off the entire pot of fat and didn't get home until late at night. So when it got home, the mouse was like, "Oh, look who's finally home. All right, what crazy-ass name does your new god kid have now?" And the cat said, "You're not gonna like it. Its name is All Gone."
All Gone is also a cool name for...
I agree. We're gonna make this...
All Gone.
It's gonna be like Salt and Pepper.
Yeah.
Okay, so... the mouse was like, "This is the most worrisome name of them all. Also, worrisome is hard to say. I've never seen that name written in print. It's not a real name." But then the mouse was just like, whatever, and it just went to bed.
Cool.
Since the fat was all gone, the cat stopped making up fake babies, and when winter came, there was no food, so the mouse told the cat to go get the pot of fat that they'd been saving, and so they went to the church. And the mouse saw that the pat of fat was gone. And the mouse was like, "Ah, now I see what you did, you motherfucker. Every time you said you were a godfather, you came here and ate some of the fat." And the cat was like, "Be quiet, one more word and I will eat you too." And the mouse was like, "All gone." And then the cat just was like, "Ow," and just ate the mouse. And the story ends saying, "You see, that is the way of the world." Yeah, also, like, this cat's so dumb because it's gonna starve. It already ate all the fat.
Yeah.
And mice, not that filling, I imagine.
Especially just one.
And if you could eat it with all one swallow, like, that was a very big mouth.
The Fat.
The fat.
My actual rap name.
Yeah, no.
The Fat.
Yeah, that was, and that was the cat and mouse in partnership, although, you know what? It was really mostly...
It was not a partnership. It
was-
seemed like just one guy was telling the other guy something while he was eating his fat.
And the other one was just stroking its long, gorgeous braid that mice apparently have.
True enough.
Okay,
Okay.
so now we're about to come to the biggie baddie.
So,
Best-
it stumbled upon me that we've done a lot of the other big ones. You did Snow White.
Yeah, we started out, our first episode we did,
With
like,
Cinderella and
the big
Snow
popular
White.
ones.
Yeah. And since then, we've been doing more of the, like...
Obscure
ones that, like, no one fucking knows anything about. But
And everyone's name is Hans.
everyone. It's just Hans this, Hans that, Hans your mom, Hans your fat.
Shut up. No, when Willem and Jacob were writing, they're like, "Ooh, what's a good name?" And they're like, "I don't know, Hans." And they're like, "Yes, nailed it.
Nailed it.
Command S, bitch."
Okay. So
now-
I decided that it was finally time to do Rumpelstiltskin.
Rumpelmints.
Ooh. Ugh. I will say that I loved the TV show Once Upon a Time. It's gotten really bad, but it was really good the first couple seasons. But Rumpelstiltskin's character was my least favorite. Okay, moving on.
I just when I picture him, I think of like a grosso fucking nasty.
He's just
monster.
like a little guy who's like, ah!
He sounds like Hans dumb before he got hot.
For sure. So, once there was a miller. There's so many millers.
They're water, right?
Oh, and also, they're always poor. Like, that's always a point of the story is there's a miller, he's poor.
So he's not a very good miller.
Apparently not. But he did have a daughter who was very beautiful.
Duh.
Now, it happened that he had to go and speak to the king. And in order to make himself appear important, he said to him, I have a daughter who can spin straw into gold. The king said to the miller, that is an art which pleases me well. If your daughter is as clever as you say, bring her tomorrow to my palace and I will put her to the test. So, dumbass dad said this even though the girl can't do this. When did you get wrapped up in a blanket like that?
I got chilly, and I also just remembered that I know this story.
I look over at Holly, and she's literally like blanket wrapped around her whole body, cozied up to her chin, looking like a little burrito.
I just got really excited.
I just started tapping my computer like that was going to make the light go on.
That's because we're used to touchscreens.
Whoa.
Also, I got really excited to listen to the story, so I wanted to get cozy.
Okay. So the girl was brought in to see him, and he took her into a room which was quite full of straw. He gave her a spinning wheel and a reel and said, now set to work. And if by tomorrow morning early you have not spun the straw into gold during the day, then you're going to die.
She was like,
I'm
fucked.
So thereupon he himself locked the room and left her in it alone. So she sat there crying, really sad about everything because she was like, there's no, I'm going to die tomorrow because I can't fucking do this.
She's accepting her fate as
Right.
death.
But all at once the door opened and in came a little man and said, good evening, Mistress Miller. Why are you crying so? Alas, answered the girl, I have to spin straw into gold, and I do not know how to do that. What will you give me? Said the little man.
It sounds like a challenge on Project Runway.
Right. If I do this for you. And she said, my necklace. And the little man said, okay. He took her necklace, he seated himself in front of the wheel, and whir, 3 turns, and the reel was full. And he put another on, whir, 3 times round, and the second was full too. And so it went until the morning when all of the straw was spun, and all the reels were full of gold.
Hell yeah, Rumpelstiltskin.
Right?
Rumple foreskin.
By daybreak, the king was already there, and when he saw the gold, he was astonished and delighted. But his heart became only more greedy. I'm glad you liked that.
Astonished and
delighted.
You sounded like Don Part. You're
Good.
Like, Chevy Che, Nassim Padran. Okay.
Okay. But he just became more greedy. So he took the miller's daughter into another room, which was bigger and had even more straw. And he commanded her again to spin. And that if in the night she hadn't done it, he'd die. And then he locked her in again. Same thing. She was like, no. And she was like, I'm gonna die.
I'm gonna die.
But
did she turn into
alas,
a ghost?
Pretty much. But again, the little man appeared and said, what will you give me if I do it this time for you, bitch? And she goes, how about the ring on my finger? And he was like, for shizzle. And then he did it again. He span, whir, all that shit. And it became gold.
He reminds me of, what is his fucking name? The movie Labyrinth. Huggle?
Oh my god, Huggle!
And he likes little trinkets
Huggle.
And stuff.
Yeah, he just likes little things. Like anything like a tchotchke.
He likes little things.
He likes little things.
He likes little things.
So the next morning, the king again rejoiced beyond measures. He was astonished.
I can't.
But still, he had not enough gold. So he had the miller's daughter taken into an even bigger room with even more straw and same fucking deal. You know what I'm saying?
Why do they have so many rooms just dedicated to straw?
But this time, he said, if you succeed, you will be my wife.
Ugh.
Which is like, you just said you were going to kill me the last 2 nights in a row. I'm not totally down with this.
No, you threatened to kill me twice, and now this time I have to be your wife? Like, that's
and also,
really
like,
weird.
I'm not going to just be able to do this on cue ever for you, because I'm not doing it.
Yeah, like, is this my life now?
Right.
Do you get nicer when we get married?
Right. So when the girl was alone, the little guy came again, and for the 3rd time, he said, what will you give me? But this time, she said, I have nothing left that I could give.
She didn't have a Nuva ring?
She didn't have I hate you. So he said, promise me this. If you should become queen, and only if you should become queen, you have to give me your first child. And she was basically like, who knows if that will ever happen? Like, why would I become queen even though he just said he was going to marry you earlier that day, you dumb bitch?
Maybe she had a Nuva ring.
She promised. And she said, okay. And so he did. And so then the next day, the king came in, and he was like, OMG, girl, we getting married, girl. And so a year after they got married, she had a baby with the king. And she never gave a thought to the man, ever. But suddenly one day, he appeared in her room and said, now give me what you promised. The queen was horror-struck and offered him all of the riches of the kingdom if he would leave her and the child alone. But he said, no, something alive is dearer to me than all of the treasures in the world. Then the queen began to cry. She was so upset. He felt really bad for her. He said, I'll give you 3 days. If by that time you find out my name, then you can keep your child.
Oh, right. I forgot to know how the story ends.
Right. So the queen thought the whole night of all the names that she had ever heard.
She went to the almanac.
Basically.
Top off, half gone, and no more.
She was like, I don't know, top off? So she sent a messenger to the country to inquire far and wide for any other names that there might be, just in general.
They're like, what's your fucking name? What's your name? What's your name? What's your name?
So the next day, the man came, and she started with the name Casper. Then she said Melicor. Then she said Balthazar. And all of the names she knew, one by one, name by name. On the second day, she had inquiries made in the neighborhood as to the names of the people there. And she repeated those names to him. Perhaps your name is Short Ribs or Sheepshanks or Lace Leg. But he always answered, that's not my name.
It's like in the first Ted movie.
Well, at least she's not only given like one chance. Because it seems like she's just like, it literally is like in the Ted movie when he's like, Angela, Shaw, Kara, Gia.
Cheryl Lynn, Kelly Lynn.
Like, fucking
I would just
Kelly?
be like, I'd be like Henry, Bob, Jen, James, Mark, Luke, John, all the names of the Bible.
I'd be like Monica, Ross, Chandler, Phoebe.
Fuck you. Shut the fuck up.
Okay, so on the third day, the messenger came back again and said, I have not been able to find a single new name. But as I came to a high mountain at the end of the forest where the fox and the hare bid each other good night, okay, there I saw a little house.
There.
And before the house, a fire was burning, and round about the fire, quite a ridiculous little man was jumping. He hopped upon one leg and shouted, Today I bake, tomorrow brew, the next day I'll have young queen's child. Ha! Glad am I that no one knew that Rumpelstiltskin I am styled.
I did not know he knew how to rap.
Yeah, he was a songstress.
He was.
Now
He's
you may
a
imagine
lyricist.
how glad the queen was that she heard the name. And when soon afterward the little man came in and asked, Now, Mistress Queen, what is my name? At first she said, Is your name Conrad? No. Is your name Harry?
Ooh.
No. Perhaps your name is Rumpelstiltskin. The devil has told you that. The devil has told you that, cried the little man, and in his anger he plunged his right foot so deep into the earth that his whole leg went in, and then in rage he pulled at his left leg so hard with both hands that he tore himself in two, and that is the end of Rumpelstiltskin.
Wait a second.
So it ends well for the queen.
It ends. I don't remember it ending with Rumpelstiltskin ripping himself in half.
I know, right?
I don't remember. I remember.
Right?
I feel like, that's
I know,
weird.
right?
I also don't. He's such an idiot. Like, if there's someone out there who, like, why would you be out there, like, saying your name?
Yelling, I'm Rumpelstiltskin! I'm Rumpelstiltskin!
Yeah, literally being like, you have to find out my name, or
Bitch.
else. And then you're just outside being like, my name is Rumpelstiltskin.
Baby! Well, that was fun.
That was so fun, you guys.
Oh, you guys.
You guys,
We're going to try to have another episode out next week.
Yeah, no, we have ideas. We have
ideas.
thoughts.
But it's hard when we have full-time jobs and life beyond the jobs and other things going on, but we are going
And it was
to
the holiday
do
season.
that.
We could just lie and say we were taking a holiday break. But that sounds
sure.
dumb. But
Too
like
late. We
it's
already
basically
said
we
everything else.
did. True story.
Well, that was the episode, you guys. How was it?
Yeah, call in. Oh, it's Brenda again.
Hello?
Brenda!
Brenda, you're always by
Brenda,
the
it's
phone.
9:30. Why are you still up?
I stay up past my bedtime.
Okay, we're done here.
So
You
yeah,
guys know where to follow us. You guys know where our shite is. If you don't, it's linked in this thing.
yeah, we're on LinkedIn.
Oh, yeah. Find us on LinkedIn.
Did you know that there's?
Our mom's definitely on there because that's like all she fucking talks about.
I've heard of couples
Meeting on LinkedIn, same.
and that got married from LinkedIn.
Weirder shit has happened, dude.
I think weirder shit has happened. So yeah, that's us.
That's it, girl.
And we will see you soon. And by see you, I mean you'll hear from us soon.
And by hear from us, we mean this podcast.
And by hear from us, I mean you will get a notification on your phone whether or not you are subscribed. And with that, we say bye.